The European probe Philae lander made the first ever landing on a comet this week, separating from its mothership Rosetta more than 510 million kilometers from Earth. We joined over Skype this morning by Peter Martinez from UCT Space Lab to discuss the significance of this landing. Hello Peter, please will you just tell us first of all what this means for global space engineering?
Well, this is a fantastic accomplishment for space engineering in the sense that being able to intercept a body that is just a few kilometers wide at a distance that is further away than Mars is a terrific engineering accomplishment. But it's also a great scientific accomplishment in that for the first time we can begin to study comets in situ. And that's very important scientifically because comets are very, very ancient objects that tell us a lot about the origins of the solar system and, of course, the origins of planet Earth, and may also be able to give us some information about the origin of life on Earth.
Peter, so what went into this project, the Philae lander probe? I mean, the logistics behind this sound massive, not to mention the cost.
Yes. A space mission like this typically takes several decades from initial conception to the design to the manufacture and then the launch. The first discussions about this mission began actually in the 1980s, where there was a desire to follow up on a previous mission which had flown by a comet Halley. In fact, it was called the Giotto mission. And the success of that mission inspired people to think about another more ambitious mission to a comet. And so the idea of Rosetta was born. But it took a few decades before the mission was funded and built. And it was only launched in about in 2004. It was in space for a decade on its way to the comet before the extremely exciting encounter that began already in August with the orbiter. Missions of this size and class obviously are quite expensive. The Rosetta mission cost about €1 billion, if I remember correctly. But the important thing to realize is that this is all investment in industry here on Earth. And so it's resulted in industrial development, in the training of lots of people. So when we talk about money that is invested in space programs, it's very important to realize that the investment is here on Earth and the benefits are derived here on Earth.
Of course, a lot of the cynics out there will complain about the costs involved in this. I mean, this figure I saw was 1.3 billion euros for this Rosetta mission. Why isn't that money being invested in more pertinent issues that we have here on Earth?
Yes, it's a good question, and I'm glad you asked it. I think the one thing that we should all realize is that all of us, you, me, everybody watching this program, is personally making use of space technology every single day of our lives. Every time you stick an ATM card in a machine, or when you rely on a GPS system to navigate, or every time your cell phone is switched on, and I can go on and on with many examples, you are relying on a space system. So space has become part of the modern, of the plumbing of everyday life in a way that most of us don't even realize it. And all of these benefits are here and being enjoyed by everybody on the planet because there were investments in space missions like this already going back to the late 50s and early 60s. So the investments sound like they're quite huge, and indeed they are, but the benefits to people on the Earth, whether they're connected with science and technology or not, are enormous.
And Peter, final question, where is South Africa positioned in the space science industry? I mean, what are we currently busy with? What kind of projects? Anything exciting you want to mention?
Okay, thank you. Another great question. I think that South Africa is definitely, when it comes to the countries in the African continent, one of the leaders in space science and technology. A number of African countries have satellites in space, and indeed some have more satellites in space than we do. But the difference is that our satellites have been designed and manufactured here in South Africa. So we have a huge inherent capability in this country, which is great in terms of supporting our future space program. In terms of exciting projects underway, I'm sure that you and many of the listeners are aware of the Square Kilometre Array project that was entrusted to South Africa because of this amazing engineering and technical capability we have, but also because of the good location for radio astronomy. We're also in discussion with other African partner countries about building a constellation of satellites that will allow us to cooperate for Earth resource monitoring. And of course, there's the human capital development that goes with it. If I can speak from a very personal perspective, here at UCT, we started a master's program in space technology. And the idea behind this human capital development is to train people using space technology as a very exciting platform. And the graduates from these programs and the people who work on space programs can then apply their skills in other industrial sectors.